So hello gamers, Phantom Forces is a very large game with a very large community, and there are a lot of funny types of players you will meet in this game. So today I compiled 25 types of players that I see in Phantom Forces. Our first type is one of the most common, the noob. The noob is a very new player to the game. He's probably under rank 25 and he probably doesn't do too well in a game. Usually he's going negative, or maybe he doesn't even have a kill at all, and he'll be using something like an AK-12, an intervention, possibly an MP7 if he's ranked up enough, with one of the most atrocious setups you've ever seen. He uses the H and K side on everything. He uses the worst suppressors. He always uses vertical grip. Sometimes he'll even run a canted sight of the same type as his main sight. And this guy is just kind of funny to have around. It's not a big problem, but he is kind of strange. The second type is somebody you don't want to have around, and this is the tag stealer. Tag stealer will go into every single kill confirmed game and take every single one of your tags. When I was trying to act out being a tag stealer, somebody stole my tag during recording for this video. You just don't want to have this guy in your game, man. He'll take all of your points. You'll get 25 points instead of 100 for a tag, and he'll probably have the most XP of anybody in the game, despite having probably like 5th most kills. The next player is the BFG user, and while this player isn't really that great at the game, he's kind of annoying to fight against. He generally will camp in the back of the map, and he'll probably have like 6 kills the entire game, but he won't have any deaths either, so he might have the most KD of any guy on the team. The only time you're ever going to kill this guy is if you mercilessly follow him across the entire map and then go kill him. Other than that, you'll never get close enough to this guy to actually get him. Fourth type of player is a high rank sweat. This type of player is good at the game, and he will get a lot of kills, but he's generally not really having a lot of fun. He'll complain in chat if he gets killed. He'll only use toxic guns. He'll never really use anything that isn't automatic. While he's not doing anything explicitly wrong, he is just kind of a pain to have in the game. Like I said, this kind of player is not bad. However, he will be extremely sweaty and toxic and probably teabag you if you killed him and then he kills you back. The next kind of player is the pre-buyer. Now, the pre-buyer he either got his mom's credit card or he saved up for a very long time to buy his favorite gun. This guy is not really that good with money. He doesn't understand that saving credits can be helpful for later. If he gets a new gun, he'll pre-buy an optic on it. If he hears a conversion is good, he'll pre-buy it. He won't even check if it's good. And he'll also pre-buy guns he probably never even uses. This guy's not a big problem because he's not that great and he thinks pre-buying guns will actually make him better, but that just doesn't happen. The next kind of player is the trick shotter. This guy won't do well at all. He'll be going negative, but he is having fun. He'll just walk around and trick shot. He's not a big problem, and if you do get trick shotted by him, you might feel kind of angry because he did spin around and shoot you with the BFG, but he's not a big problem. Usually trick shotters in your lobby is just a fun thing to have. You can congratulate him if he hits a trick shot, and he's a very easy kill. The next kind of player is the run and gun. Now, the run and gun will always use a high mobility SMG or carbine with a high rate of fire and run around and shoot people. This guy will usually top frag, but his KD will kind of just suffer. He'll be constantly pushing every fight, and sometimes he'll be losing. This guy can be a problem to fight against, but if you're just a little bit more smart than him, you can win, because he's not really trying to be too clever with his placement or anything. He just runs around and he has fun. The next player is the knifer. Now, the knifer will always run around with a melee weapon. You'll see him going maybe 2 and 18, but sometimes he will absolutely pop off. He'll run around a group of people and get a multi-kill with a knife, and clips of that is always really fun to watch. This guy's way more concerned with having fun than trying to top frag, as he is using a melee, which is not really the best weapon. Similarly, next up we have the teamer. Now, the teamer's just trying to have fun. He's just trying to find friends. He'll try to walk up to enemies and just be nice to them. However, it usually doesn't work out. The next kind of player is the demolitionist. Now, the demolitionist will always be running around with frag grenades, sometimes the RGD, and sometimes just a regular frag grenade. This guy's highest kill gun might actually be the frag, so you better watch out, because this guy is extremely well trained at always landing every single frag grenade perfectly and just killing you every time. This guy can be pretty frustrating to fight against, but since he only has 3 frag grenades, he'll generally not get too many kills. The next player is the trash talker. Now, the trash talker is not usually that good at the game. However, he's not fun to play with. Every single time he dies, he will complain about the gun you're using, or the game being broken, or that he's lagging, just something like that, just an excuse, and he will be constantly complaining. Next up, we have the gambler. Now, the gambler, you won't even fight this guy because you will never see him in game. This guy is constantly opening cases, trying to get the next melee, and while he usually doesn't make a profit, he'll constantly sell all of his skins to buy more cases. Next up, we have the Russian. Now, the Russian is an interesting type of player. He probably isn't Russian, but he really likes AKs, so he'll run around with an AK with no attachments and generally do pretty well. Since he isn't really using attachments too often, this guy isn't super caught up with doing well, so he's generally not a big problem when he's in your game. Next up, we have the content creator. Now, the content creator is a YouTuber or Twitch streamer who will end up in your game, and once he talks or somebody recognizes him, all hell breaks loose. People will be saying, "I love you, you're my favorite," and other people will be hating on them, and it will basically be a war zone in the chat for the next 30 minutes. This is why you see most content creators just leaving their chat on, because usually leaving your chat on is just not a good idea. Next player is the camper. Now, the camper is pretty simple. He's basically an evolved BFG user. He will usually be using a 50 cal sniper sniper rifle. However, he probably has evolved to the M107 or the Hecate 2. This guy's rank can range from anything from rank 30 with a major pre-buy of the M107 all the way to rank even like 200. And usually they will just sit in the back prone with the sniper rifle. And while this isn't the worst type of gameplay, this guy will usually kill you a little bit more than a BFG user, which makes him kind of a problem. The next player is the meme setup user. Now the meme setup user is either pretty bad and is just messing around, or they're very good and looking for a challenge. The meme setup user will basically use attachments that really shouldn't be on a certain gun. For example, here I'm using the DCL, the ballistics tracker, and the oil filter on the honey badger. Now this is an objectively awful setup. Meme setup users will usually use something like this, and they might actually do pretty good despite it not being a good setup. Next type of player is a very nice player to fight against because it's the high rank casual. If you see a high rank casual, they'll usually be using something like a DMR, an underrated PDW, or something that just not a lot of people are using. This kind of people will not get as many kills as the high rank sweat, but you can tell if they sweated that they would do a lot better. They're more focused on having fun than just doing good, and they're usually not a huge problem to fight against. Next player up is the sniper. Now the sniper will usually be using the intervention, the TRG, or a different bolt action sniper rifle, and they'll be using it with the default scope. This player is extremely accurate and they will be able to hit torso hits or headshots at pretty much any range, making them pretty scary to fight against. You can usually beat them with an auto gun, but if you let them hit a headshot, they will hit it. They're extremely accurate and they will play somewhat aggressively at times, more than a camper, but they will still usually hang back a little bit behind the front lines and pick off people from range. Next up we have the complainer. Now the complainer is a little bit better than the trash talker because he doesn't necessarily just get mad at everybody, he just complains. He'll usually complain about how broken something is when it kills him, or how bad something is when he doesn't get a kill with it, or how the maps suck, and sometimes he has maybe a point, but usually he's just complaining to complain. Next up we have the Oscar fan. Now the Oscar fan is not a huge problem or anything, he just watches a lot of Oscar videos, and he will usually be copying the newest setup from an Oscar video. He's not necessarily super great at the game or anything, but he will usually be using the current overpowered gun, so you might want to watch out for him, because even if he's not that great, an overpowered gun can make him kind of a threat. Next up though we have the zip user. Now the zip user is pretty interesting. Unlike a meme setup user, a zip user is just somebody who pre-bought the zip or just wants to use the zip, and they're usually not that great. Occasionally you will find somebody who's using a zip macro, and those people can be dangerous because 1000 RPM on a pistol, even if it doesn't really do a lot of damage, is kind of scary to fight against. Normal zip users are pretty nice, not a huge problem to fight against. Next up we have the underrated gun user. This guy will be using a gun you probably haven't even heard of and will usually be doing really well with it. He'll make half the people in the lobby either pre-buy the gun or try out the gun, and nobody will do as good as him with that gun. This used to happen to me all the time back before the G3 buff. I would always pop off with a G3 and people were like, why are you using that thing, man? But last up we have the forged user. Now the forged user is the #1 player in the world, the #1 gun in the world. Clearly the forged is the best gun. It gives you aimbot, it has infinite velocity, 10,000 RPM, it can one-shot Duke Fishron. You should definitely watch out for this guy because he can kill you even if he's not in your server by teleporting the bullet through the server regions to your head. So if you randomly die from anything, it's from a forged user, so make sure to watch out for this guy. He has the best gun in the entire game. Anyways, gamers, if you guys did enjoy, that is 25 types of Phantom Forces players. If you want to see 25 more, comment your types of players down in the comments, but I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.